Hey everybody, welcome to Passion Works Yoga. I'm Erin. Today's practice will be led from the ground. As you can see, I'm seated on the ground. I'm currently sitting up on a little blanket. That might be something that you want to snag for today's practice. A blanket, a yoga block may be helpful as well. One of these. And also a chair. If you have a chair or some kind of surface that is about a chair height, it might be helpful to have. So I have my chair here, and it'll just be set off to the side till I'll use it. And I just wanted to share a little bit of a different type of a practice today and kind of show different ways that we can practice these shapes in a yoga class. So if you are seated in a chair, that's fine. Most of the things today will easily translate to practicing in a chair. And as usual, you get to decide what you're doing. So if there's something that you're particularly interested in practicing, or there's something that you're not really into that I'm offering, as usual, you get to choose. So let's go ahead and begin by just kind of settling into your seat. So that might look like just finding a little bit of movement. I particularly like to rock a little bit side to side or forward and backward. And I'm sitting up on this blanket because it helps to relax my hip creases, and it also lets me sit up a little bit taller. So as you start to lengthen your back and your spine, just kind of feeling into that more upright position of your body, you might notice that your low back is naturally rounding, or you might feel some tightness in the low back or hip creases, and that might be relieved by bringing a blanket under your seat. So just knowing that's an option. And starting to feel a softness in the belly, kind of relaxing the muscles in the belly area. And let your shoulders soften away from the ears. Feel free to close your eyes here, or let your gaze fall onto something out in front of you. And I'll invite you to join in chanting the mantra Om in today's class to start. You can bring the palms together in front of the heart if you'd like. Just finding that gentle lift of the sternum towards your thumbs. And we'll begin with a breath in. Letting the vibrations of the sound, sensation in your body settle for the next couple of moments here. We'll sit for a few minutes. Feel free to relax the hands back down to the tops of the legs. Notice how your breath is moving here today. Does your breath feel smooth and steady, or maybe it feels more rigid? Is it easy to take a breath, or does it feel a little challenging? No judgment, just noticing how the breath is as a means of drawing your attention inward. What's going on inside? And with that inward awareness, you might scan your body and notice any particular areas of tension, softening little by little. And you might slow down your breath a little bit. Taking 3 slow breaths. And let your awareness move inward. And one more time, scanning the body for areas of tension, softening little by little. In the next breath or two, gently bring your chin down towards your chest, down towards the sternum. Sensing that length in the back of the neck. The shoulders gently soften away from the ears. And then maybe you just find a little rock of your head side to side. Ear drops towards one shoulder, and then the chin draws that line across the collarbones and over to the other side. And feel free to match your breath up with that movement, inhaling the head to the side. Exhale, the head drops through the middle. Let's take that one more time to each side. Just noticing any areas of tension or tightness, not to judge, but just be aware of those places in the body. And slowly lift the head back up through the center, just enjoying this center sensation, meeting in the middle. You might take a conscious round of breath in and out. And eventually let your gaze fall over to the left. So just turning your head about 45 degrees. Gently tip the chin down towards the armpit or towards the ground. And then option to add the stretch of the opposite arm back behind you. So just kind of taking your right arm, reaching back behind a little bit. You can bring your hand onto the ground or float it. And sensing that big stretch, that length from the neck down through the arm. Here for another breath in. And exhale, come back through the center. Just enjoying being in the middle again. And gently bring the gaze over to the right. Dropping the chin down, tipping the chin down any amount until you start to feel a little sensation. And then maybe you take the left arm and reach it back a little bit. Hands can come onto the ground, fingertips on the ground, or hover them. Here for another breath in. And gently come back through the center. Just taking your time. Head balanced above the body. Shoulders softening down the back. Let's gently start to flip the palms to face forward. So this is our seated Tadasana, seated mountain. This broadness across the collarbones, rooted in the lower body. And warming up the shoulders and arms a bit, we'll stretch the arms up and then bring the arms back down. You can find a rhythm with your breath here if you'd like. Inhale, floating the arms up. And exhale brings the arms down. So almost like the movement were originating from your breath. Inhale up. And exhale down. We'll do a couple more rounds of this, so just keep on going at your own pace. Thinking about really reaching up through the sides of the body as you stretch your arms up. So yes, we're reaching through the fingertips, but we're also reaching through the sides of the body, through the low back. So just kind of feel it into that. You might even reach a little extra side to side when you come to the top. And gently lowering the hands down. It's just something to explore as we're reaching up, lengthening, lifting, kind of inching up and out of the low back, making some space. Exhaling the hands down. Let's do this one more time. Arms come up. And arms come back down. Good. One hand down onto the ground. Let's stretch the other arm up. This should feel familiar to many of you if you've been in these classes recently. Stretching up and then leaning over. This is one of my favorites, the side body stretch. Option to take that hand that's on the ground and actually cross it over your body and gently press into that inner thigh on the opposite side. Just a little gesture of re-grounding. Hand on the body, grounding gesture. Touching the present moment. Let's gently come back up through the center and switch sides. Hand comes down to meet the earth, other arm stretches up, lengthen, and then lean over any amount. And I'm gonna take that crossover again. So option to bring the hand over to the opposite thigh, gently pressing into the leg. That also just feels like it kind of creates a little more space through the side of the body. Let's gently come back through the center. Just enjoying being here in the middle for a moment. Inhale and exhale. All right, let's start to stretch the legs out in front. So just taking your time here to reach the legs out any amount. So legs are extending, but that might not mean straight. So just know that. When you kind of settle in here, I like again to find a little bit of rocking. I'm a mover, I move a lot. So you may be that way, or maybe stillness feels better to you. It's fine. Just moving the legs in and out a little bit. Just kind of letting your legs be soft here as you rotate the hips in and out. You can use your hands as just a little bit of a guide, but just using the next couple of breaths to kind of feel that movement in your legs. I also feel it in my ankles a little bit. Can't see my feet as well here, but just kind of that inner and outer rotation of the ankles in and out. Okay, let's meet back in the middle, and I'm going to lean back a little bit. Hands on the ground back behind me. I'm starting to gently press through the heels a bit, and by all means feel free to bend the knees as much as you'd like here. Almost like you're pressing the heels a little bit into the ground. It might feel better to bring just the fingertips onto the ground behind you, or maybe bringing your palms down and kind of leaning back a little bit might feel interesting. Kind of opening through the front of the body, lifting up through the armpits, and breathing. And noticing the hips, the sitting bones connected to the ground, or your blanket that you're sitting on. Just kind of regrounding there as you rock forward to stack on top again. Just meeting in the middle. Let's gently bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. So feel free to scoop your legs up with your hands and bring them onto the earth. Soles of the feet are planted. And I'm going to turn to the side here just so you can kind of see this movement in the spine a little bit more, but we'll do a little seated cat and cow. So we do this in almost every class because it is one of my favorites, but this movement of the spine where we find that curve, that arch back and that arch forward. So the hand is not the greatest model of the spine, so don't judge that. Let's gently start to bring the hands to the tops of the shins, or maybe holding onto the backs of the legs would feel better, your call. If you're seated in a chair, I like hands on the tops of the thighs. Let's start to lift the chest, arch the back a little bit, lifting up through the armpits. And as you exhale, drawing the chin to your chest and just rounding in a bit. Let your spine round. Back to cow pose. We press the feet down a bit, lift the chest, arch, look up, and exhale to round. Tuning in, turning in. Let's do a couple more rounds of that, just moving with your breath here. Inhale, looking up, arching. Exhale, rounding. Thinking about the navel drawing in towards the spine a little bit. If that makes sense, if that feels good. Let's take another round here with your breath to the extent of your inhale, to the extent of your exhale at this moment. And then slowly meet back in the middle, okay? So just soles of the feet on the ground, and option here to actually fold forward a little bit, just kind of rounding in. Let your head be heavy. If you're seated in a chair, you might bring your forearms onto your thighs and drop the head. Just letting the weight of the head drop, and maybe even rocking the head a little side to side might feel nice. Just another breath or two here in the middle. I like to think about this as kind of like a re-grounding or a mini rest. And then we'll just slowly lift back up, just starting to move towards our next shape, which will be Baddha Konasana. You can bring the bottoms of the feet together here, knees wide. Or this is where the block will come in handy. So you might want to bring your block in between your feet. Okay, so knees are wide, block between the feet. If you are seated in a chair, it might feel better just not to have the knees as wide. Just sitting in the chair, sometimes knees wide can feel kind of awkward. You might just take your block and bring it between the knees, just to find that gentle opening, okay? And holding the block there just kind of creates a little bit of awareness, activity in the legs. Same thing with the block between the feet. Sometimes holding, finding this kind of gentle hugging in can feel nice. All right. So again, I'm gonna wiggle a little bit because that's what I do, a little bit of wiggling to find my seat, maybe leaning back for a moment, just like we did with the legs extended. And a couple of options here. So leaning back might feel great for you, kind of offering the heart, lifting up a little bit, finding a little back bend, maybe even looking up towards the ceiling. Letting the head drop back a little. That's option one. Option two would be to rock forward and just start to fold forward a little bit. So hands can be on the ground, out in front of you. Maybe they come onto your block. You're folding a little bit. Okay, option 3, which is for other movers out there, people who are, if you're feeling like moving a little more, you might just start to rock side to side. Okay, so this is kind of like what we were doing in that head cross-legged position. Our side body stretch, but we'll just find a little flow. Okay, so your call here, leaning back, leaning forward, or a little side to side flow. Taking a couple more breaths. Noticing what is touching the ground here, wherever you are. We gently come back through the center and scoop the knees into the hands and bring the knees together. Okay, let's do that little curl in again here. You might walk the feet closer to you and just kind of round in a little bit. Head can drop. A couple slow breaths. Notice any tension that may have started to sneak back into the body, and maybe think about letting that go with a little bit of softening. Just an awareness of softening those areas of tension. Another breath here. Exhaling, letting go. Okay, this is where we'll grab onto our chair. So if you've got a chair nearby, let's start to scooch towards it. I'm going to pull my chair a little bit closer. I'm going to keep my blanket under my seat because it feels nice for me, but bringing my chair close. I've got it so the seat is facing away from me. You can decide which way you want your chair facing, your call. I'm also diagonal so you can see me better. Feel free to face any direction you'd like. Let's do a little wide leg seat. So opening the legs out any amount. So just kind of feeling this space in between the legs. And then maybe you start to flex the feet back a little bit. Like you're spreading your toes a little bit, maybe pressing the heels down. And by all means, again, a little bend in the knees might feel nice for you. Taking a couple more breaths here. I'm going to bring my hands to the chair, either onto the seat here, or you can bring your hands to the top. Okay, so we're thinking about keeping the neck and the spine all in the same line and kind of folding forward a little bit here. So any amount is feeling that gentle settling back into the hips, back into the pelvis. And we breathe. Feeling the shoulder blades gently drawing down the back. Energy through the legs, through the feet. If possible, it might just be an inner feeling rather than an outer appearance of the feet flexing. So know that it's just the awareness of the legs, awareness of the feet in the space that you're in. Okay, let's take the left hand away from the chair and start to walk your right hand over towards the left side of the chair, okay? You can take your left hand and bring it onto the thigh or start to reach back behind you. And we're moving into a twist, okay? So we're grounded through the seat. And we're gently looking back behind you over the left shoulder. And we're breathing. can kind of take your twist to the depth of your choosing. Let's gently come back through the center and gently move to the other side. So hand down onto left hand onto the right side of the chair. Right hand can rest on your thigh here or start to bring it back behind you. Your choice. Gentle gaze over the shoulder. Breath is steady here. Okay, gently releasing back through the middle. Let's gently start to bring the hands back onto the legs, and I'm gonna do that scoop again, scooping up the legs, walking them back through the center, soles of the feet on the ground. And again, just a gentle round in. Just a pause, a mini rest. Being with yourself, noticing what comes up in this moment, what's arising for you. And let's slowly start to lift the head. And we'll move towards lying down. And I'll show a little variation of an inversion where we'll bring the legs up onto the chair. So I'm going to move my chair so it is in the place that I'll want it when I'm on my back. And I'm going to move my blanket onto my chair. So I've got some cushion and it's not going to cause any discomfort on my legs when I bring my legs up onto the chair. So just having the chair there so it's ready to go. I'm going to come down onto my back. However you'd like to get onto your back is up to you. One way that I find to be an easy transition is to swing the knees to one side and then gently start to walk the hands back behind. So I end up lying on my side, stretching the arm out, and slowly rolling down onto your back, okay? So once you're there, just feeling into how your body feels in this new shape. Your spine is supported by the ground. The soles of the feet are on the ground here. Let's start to bring the right ankle over the left thigh. So we'll do a little figure 4 action. Scooping the leg up with your hands again is an option. Placing the ankle. Here for a couple breaths. We do this a lot when we're sitting in the chair. I've done this in a lot of the classes that you may or may not have seen on the Passion Works YouTube channel. But know that seated in a chair with this figure 4 shape is a good option too. And some movement might feel nice, like a little bit of rocking side to side. Maybe even rocking your head on the ground. Okay, let's gently release this side, bring the sole of the foot back down. Left ankle over the right. Finding that cross, taking a couple breaths. So sometimes just like little movements here can feel really interesting, like a gentle drawing of the knee, energetic drawing of the knee away from the body, and using the muscles of the legs, or the opposite, bringing the knee closer to the chest. Just kind of feeling into how this shape feels in your body. If there's any areas of tension, tightness. All right, let's slowly start to release this side. Bring the soles of the feet back down and pause. Option to bring the feet wide and drop the knees together. A little internal rotation of the hip joints. Feel free to rest your hands on your belly. Just kind of feeling the movement of your breath here. Rise and fall. Okay, so starting to move towards your chair. I'm gonna just inch my way slowly down towards the chair here. Just using my arms and shoulders to scooch my body, and I'm gonna bring the shins up onto the chair. Okay, so scooching a little bit closer so I can feel comfortably resting. The lower legs are supported by the chair, supported by my chair. And I would honestly say that my chair is a little bit too high for my legs. I'm gonna grab a little bolster to bring under my feet, just so you know that there's options and ways to make poses feel comfortable for you. I'll place that bolster there, and depending on what kind of chair you're using, you might have the same issue, but just kind of making it work for you. Folded up extra blanket might also work, so know that that is an option. All right, so legs are supported by the chair and any other props that are there. I'm going to encourage you to gently bring a little bit of pressure into your hip creases. It might be the heels of your palms, gently pressing into the hip creases. You might even make gentle fists with your hands and gently press into that space. Just kind of feeling into it. How does that feel for you, your low back? And eventually letting that go and finding a place that feels comfortable for your hands to rest. Might be on the body or at your sides. And we're here for a few breaths, so an opportunity to just kind of explore and check in with how this shape feels for you and your body, and check in. I'll encourage you to inch your shoulders a little bit wider, just kind of inching the shoulders towards the edges of your mat or just kind of away from the center of your body. And you're more than welcome to stay right here for our final rest, or maybe you come off of your chair and extend your legs. Here for about a minute or so of rest and relaxation. You've set this time aside for yourself, this practice, just acknowledging yourself for showing up, for making it through, and take rest.
Feel free to take a longer rest, staying where you are for 5, 10, 15 or more minutes. Or start to come up when you're ready, rolling onto your side or pressing back up into a seat. Regrounding, lengthening your back. I'll invite you to stretch the arms up once more, finding some length through the sides of the body, a little inching up. And hands through heart center. Anjali Mudra, gently pressing the palms together, lifting the sternum towards the thumbs. Let's close with a breath in together and a breath out. Thank you for sharing in this practice today.